just around the corner. Hello and welcome to Wags and Whiskers, an informative pet program on WOTVC, brought to you by the Miami County Animal Shelter and Troy Animal Hospital and Bird Clinic. I'm Marcia Doncaster, the director of the Miami County Animal Shelter, and this is Thor, my co-host. Our show today is going to be about some winter canine safety tips. I'm going to share some tips with you so that you and your dog can be safe for the winter. Whether or not your dog spends a little or a lot of time outside, you need to take precautions to keep them safe from the elements. So let's start with the obvious, food and water. Make sure that your dog has an ample supply of clean, fresh water in a bucket appropriate for their size. Of course, the bigger the dog, the bigger the bucket. So you want to make sure that you don't give a dog this size a thimble size amount of water. If your dog is outside all of the time, make sure that you secure that bucket to something so it's not tipped over. You want to make sure that it's secure somewhere. And check it often so that it's not going to be frozen. And if it is frozen, make sure that you replace it immediately. Dogs don't want to try to eat ice cubes all the time. Also, if your dog is outside all the time, just a little hint for you, make sure you give them more food than normal, because an outside dog will burn up to 30% more calories than an indoor dog. So make sure that they get plenty of food. That helps them to stay warm on those cold nights. Also, if your dog is outside, make sure that they have adequate shelter. An adequate shelter is a dog house that would have 4 sides, a ceiling, and a floor. You can put a piece of carpet, a piece of plastic over the front, just to make sure that the rain and the wind and snow stays out of it. The size of the house is also very important. You don't want it so big that they can't heat it with their own body, and you don't want it so small that they're uncomfortable. You want to make sure that it's just big enough that they can stand up, turn around, and lay back down in it. If it's extremely cold out or if it's blizzard conditions, bring your dog in, because in those kind of conditions, nothing's going to keep them warm outside. So if at all possible, please bring them in during a blizzard. Bedding for inside of the house, a lot of people use towels or carpet or blankets, but that's really not a very good idea, because they'll get wet and then they freeze. And then on top of that, then the dog's going to be cold. So what you want to do is you want to use something like pine shavings or straw. Make it thick, and fluff it up often. That way any water or anything will drip down through that part, and that top layer will stay dry, and it'll keep them warm in the wintertime. As far as grooming goes, if they get muddy, dirty, brush them often. Get that mud and dirt out of their coat. If you fluff it up and keep it as clean as possible, that helps them with their own insulation. As far as grooming goes, to keep the coat clean, what you need to do is to brush dirt and mud out of it. Give them a good brushing quite often. That will keep their natural insulation, keeps the fur fluffed up, keeps that natural insulation. If you shave your dog normally or trim them back, you might want to rethink that in the wintertime, because that will keep them from keeping themselves warm. And so you want to hold in that body heat as much as possible. When bathing your dog, make sure that they're dried completely before you let them out, because if there's any wetness left in them, it's going to freeze and they're going to get sick from it. I would recommend, and what I normally do, is use a waterless or a dry shampoo in the wintertime. It's very easy to use, very inexpensive, and it's a lot easier for the wintertime. Okay, I'd like to share a little bit with you about the waterless grooming. Any good waterless grooming, dry shampoo will work. You can pick it up at the pet store. Very simple to use. Just shake it up a little bit. The dog is dry when you do this. You're just going to spray a fine mist over their body. Make sure you keep it out of their head. And come here, sit up. And then what you want to do, come here. Sit. Is you're going to just brush it through. Stay. And try to get it down to the skin as much as you can. Yes, I know you're a good boy. He likes to be brushed. So you're going to get this down through there, and what this does is it's going to help remove all the mud and the dust and dirt and get any loose hair that's in their system or next to their skin away. And this will help keep them clean, and then it will also fluff their hair up a little bit, and it'll keep that natural insulation and keep them warm. After you get them all brushed, yes, I know you're good. You want to take a towel and just run it over them a little bit. This will get any extra moisture out if there was any left over. And this will also, if you have a little bit on here, you can get up around their ears and stuff. Sit. And that's all there is to it. They're groomed and ready to go. Since they're going to be inside a lot more than in the summertime, their nails might need to be trimmed a little bit more often because they are spending that time inside. You need to wipe their feet off, their legs, their feet, their bellies, thoroughly after a walk. They can ingest any kind of salt or antifreeze or anything that might be on their paws from outside. If you do take cold weather outings and like to go for walks, limit the time that you're outdoors. That will minimize the chance of frostbite or hypothermia. Dogs with short coats or low body fat, you might want to think about putting a sweater or coat on them. There's all different kinds out there. This will help also retain their body heat. Some people, when they turn their dogs out or take their dogs for a walk, like to use little boots or booties to protect their feet from the salt and from chafing. This way, protects them a little bit more. And whatever you do, don't let the dogs eat the snow. There could be any kind of chemicals in it and would upset their stomach or even poison them. You also want to keep them on a leash so that if you're out someplace and it starts snowing and you get some pretty heavy snow, they can lose their scent and get lost. So keep them on a leash when you've got them outside. As far as health concerns go, check the pads of their feet and examine them for any kind of cracks or irritation. If there is, you can take a little bit of Vaseline and just rub it into their paws, and that will help keep that from being irritated or cracking. Also, watch for any kind of shivering, shallow breath, weak pulse, or lethargy. Those are all signs of hypothermia. You need to get your dog to the vet right away. Also, frostbite is another concern. That usually happens on the ears, the feet, the tail. So look for those kind of signs. That could be redness or pale skin, any kind of discoloration, grayness, swelling, or blisters. So you want to check for those signs underneath the fur. Puppies and older dogs don't tolerate the cold as well as other dogs do, so keep them inside as much as possible. Limit their exposure to the extreme cold. There are household hazards for indoor pets. They have a risk just as much as outdoor dogs, especially during the holiday season. Christmas tree ornaments can be mistaken for dog toys, break and cut themselves on it, especially these bulbs. Dogs are going to think they're little balls and they're going to try to catch them. Also, some winter plants are poisonous to not only dogs but to humans too, but you might want to keep those up. And those plants would be things like poinsettias, holly, mistletoe. So make sure you keep them out of reach of your pet. Everybody loves a fire in a fireplace. It's nice, it's warm. Takes the chill off in the winter. But whatever you do, don't let your dog get too close. They can get burned, so keep them back away from it. Also, everybody loves scented candles, especially in the wintertime when you can't open your windows so much. So if you have scented candles, there again, keep them out of reach of your dog. If they knock them over, it could start a fire. And you know how fast a Christmas tree can burn. So if you're looking to add a dog or a cat to your family this holiday season, check our website. You can come out to the shelter and look at what we've got during our regular business hours. We're open from Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Wednesday, we're open from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. and Saturday from 8 a.m. till noon. That about does it for us. I want to thank you for watching and remind you to keep watching WOTVC for future programs. I hope that we've been helpful and that you have a safe and happy holiday season. And remember, don't pity a shelter dog, adopt one. We'll see you next time on Wags and Whiskers. Okay? Right? Can you say Merry Christmas? Yes? Okay. Good boy.